Hola a todos y bienvenidos de nuevo. Espero que todos estén súper bien el día de hoy. I hope you guys are doing really well today. In this lesson, we are going to be looking at our Spanish alphabet and our letters and their pronunciations. So hopefully at this point you have already at least once gone and listened to the alphabet song on our Google Classroom. And if not once, hopefully maybe even a few more times. This is going to be our best foundation, so it's a really good idea to get very familiar with these letters and with these sounds. So something that is really interesting before we go too much further about Spanish is that Spanish is completely phonetic. So Spanish is phonetic. And what the really cool thing about that is it means as soon as you learn the pronunciation of these letters, every single time you see them, they will always, always, always sound the same. Whereas in English, we have a very non-phonetic language, so it's pretty difficult to read and to learn how to write. When it comes to Spanish, though, as soon as you master our alphabet, you are going to be able to read seemingly fluently in Spanish. Now, you'll have no idea what you're saying, of course, but it's still going to be a pretty cool party trick. All right, so the first thing that we're going to start with today are las vocales. These are our vowels. Now, within this video, I'm only going to be referring to the letters by their Spanish names. And the reason being is that so we do not confuse which letter it is I'm talking about, because some of them sound really similar from English to Spanish. So las vocales, our first one we have is A. Next we have E, then I, O, U. A, E, I, O, U. I'm going to, right beside of them, write down their pronunciations. And I hope as well that you all are taking your own notes throughout this. That way you're able to have a really quick reference back to these letter sounds. So starting with A. For me, I kind of remember that like I'm at the doctor and they say ah. So you can practice with me. It is A. Our next one is E. E. For me, I can kind of represent it like that, as in like E. Also, if you say the word egg, you kind of get that first sound of that E, just like here. So first we have A, E. Now this is where it gets a little confusing because this letter in Spanish is pronounced E. Kind of like the double E, right? Another way to look at it, for me it's pretty easy if I can think of the word ski, because I see E right here. So we have A, E, and E. Next we have O. And it's very similar to the way that we pronounce it, except it's a little bit sharper and a little bit shorter. So we don't kind of stretch it out, but it's very tight. So it's just simply O, right there. And then our last one, we have U. Kind of sounds like the double O in English. U, kind of like even a monkey. Ah. All right, so these are our vowel sounds. We're gonna go through them together one more time. Say them with me if you don't mind. We have A, E, I, O, and U. Perfect. Okay, so for the second half of this video, we're going to take a deeper look into a few of the other letter sounds that are important to know and some letter combinations as well. All right, so here we go. The first letter that I would like us to look at is, let me get my pen here, is H. H. So, on the side of it, I'm going to write a really common word. We've already used this before. Simply hola, right? This means hello. Notice how I pronounce this word though. Do we know it as hola or hola? If you said the second one, you're right, which means that the H in this word is not the normal H sound that we have in English, but instead silent. All right. So anytime you see an H beginning a word, it is silent, doesn't make a sound. All right, so if the H or the H doesn't make that normal H sound, we're going to see that instead in our J, our J. So this makes the traditional H sound. And for me, I like to think of the word jalapeño. Hear that ja right in the beginning there? Jalapeño. Perfect. All right, the next letter that I would like us to look at, and I'm sure that you guys have noticed this in the video, this is called ñ. Ñ is different than ene because of the sound that it makes. This right here, called a tilde, gives us that nya kind of sound to it. And we can actually look back up here at this example. We have jalapeño. It kind of gives us that nya sound. Kind of hard to write, depending on the ending error. It could be ño. So, if we didn't have this marker above jalapeño, it would sound like jalapeno instead of jalapeño. So hopefully you can hear that difference too. All right, the next letter combination is going to be B. B sounds pretty much identical to la letra B or B. It has that normal B sound that we're used to. So B. Our next letter combination, we're going to take a look at the double L. This does not make a la sound like a singular L would, but this makes a traditional Y sound. So I like to look at the word llamo. Llamo. Notice that llamo in the beginning there, not lamo. All right, and our last letter that we're going to look at, or combination here, is the CH, which, fortunately for us, sounds just the same as it does in English, like cha, cha, cha. All right, muchísimas gracias, amigos. In our next video, we're going to be looking at spelling and pronouncing a few words together now that we know this set.